Are you tired of sending out thousands of applications and not hearing anything in return? What if I can tell you that you can get far more interviews just at a fraction of cost? I'm going to share you a proven system that top engineers around the world use to get their dream jobs and dream interviews. I personally benefited from these methods by getting interviews at companies like Microsoft, Amazon, Google, and hundreds of other big and small IT companies. I had to learn these things the hard way, and trust me, if you follow these strategies, you would have recruiters chasing you instead of you applying directly at the jobs. So, without any delay, let's get started. First, let's identify the problem. 98% of all the applications are never actually reaching to a recruiter because of ATS, that is Application Tracking System filters. These are the tools specifically designed to find the best match between all the applicants and the job description. And your resume might not get selected because of that. On top of it, recruiters have a priority preference, and the first priority is given to those candidates who have been referred by current employees. Then it comes the people whom recruiter found out through LinkedIn searches who came out as the best potential match, and lastly it's people applying to the job posting online. Now understanding this will give you a clear idea that why spamming mass applications with the same resume does not work. So now let's work on the 5-step solution process to understanding how you can maximize your interviews. Now very first step is quite obvious. You need to have a stellar LinkedIn profile. Why does it matter so much? Because that's how recruiters gets to find you. That's how you reach out to potential referrals. That's how you apply at different jobs. So LinkedIn matters substantially, and many people don't know this, but a typical recruiter LinkedIn license costs somewhere between 5 to 10,000 USD. So it's quite expensive for recruiters to maintain the LinkedIn profile, and they needs to get the best out of it. Now I'm going to show you an example of my own LinkedIn profile, and we will walk over every single important sections. So this is my LinkedIn profile. Let's go over it. First of all, we have the profile pic and the cover pic. It should be a decent picture, nothing too political, nothing out of the blue. So just make sure it's something decent. Then it's the section about yourself. This contains information that what is your headline, which is most important thing in my opinion. Let's go over it. In terms of my headlines, anyone reading this should be able to immediately have an idea that what I'm currently working on, what kind of experience do I have, and what are the things that defines me. So I have provided here that currently I'm working as a solutions architect. I have worked in the past at companies like Microsoft, Nokia, and RBC. Okay. Then I'm also a tech YouTuber. And then it's the things that I'm good at, I am currently working at, or I like to learn, or something that I'm interested in, which contains things like AI, security, DevSecOps, cloud and DevOps, Java, .NET, Python, Node.js. So that's great, which means I'm good at backend engineering, automation, pipeline stuff, and also latest technology like AI, and also have an eye for security, which covers a broad spectrum of technology, mainly driven from the point of view of backend engineer to a solutions architect, which clearly defines who I am, and I have explicitly mentioned over here. It is only going to take like 5 seconds to read through all of these things and get a good chunk of idea that who currently I am. So that's why make sure you put some thought towards your headline. Don't make it overly complicated, and also just don't leave it too bland. Try to find that right mix. Okay. Next section is open to work. You want to define what are the things that you are willing to do. That contains what job titles you are interested in. Now for this, do a quick research and find out that what are the popular job titles out there that defines your skill set. If you are good at backend engineer, try to find out that whether putting in backend engineer makes sense, or putting in like a .NET engineer or Java engineer makes more sense. So you need to do some research on LinkedIn and then try to come up with that basically list of job titles that you are interested into. Now I have mentioned this as recruiter only, which means only recruiter can see that I'm open to work, not my entire profile. Okay, now let's go on to the next section, that is the about section. So over here I have provided far more information that is an extension of my headline, and which you can see over here. I have provided information saying that, hey, I am a solutions architect with 10 plus years of experience. These are the things that I have currently worked at. These are the kind of companies I have worked at. I specialize in these technologies. And you would notice one thing very quickly here over here, that I have used AI to the fullest in order to write all of this. What I basically did is I took my whole resume and I post paste it in the AI, and I asked like ChatGPT that what do you think my about section be, and make it search engine optimized. So I want to make sure that anyone is who is trying to find based on certain keywords should be able to identify that who I am and what kind of role I'm currently interested in, what kind of skill sets do I have, and it's all search engine optimized. So that's great. Then I have mentioned my top skills, that what are the things I'm good at, and these are the things that I'm currently working on, and also like they are really in demand, especially for my field and my niche. So that's why I have it over here. I'm a very active person on LinkedIn, and I try to post my achievements, and I try to like support other people's initiatives, and which you can obviously see through my activity if anyone is interested in checking it out. I also have a huge number of contacts on LinkedIn, and that comes in handy in all sorts of situations, and we will talk about it later. But make sure that you are regularly posting all the good things that you are doing with your career on LinkedIn. So it's going to be a good visibility, and you would be able to reach out to a lot more people with that regard. Okay, next comes the section that every person who will be interviewing you is gonna look at, and that's your experience. So people wants to know where you worked at and what you did, and you need to provide some concrete details about it. Your resumes are typically comprised of 1 or 2 pages, and depending on your experience, they might not be enough. So you only put important stuff over there. But in your LinkedIn profile, you can put as many things as you want, all the interesting things and all the interesting topics that you want to talk about and you want other people to know. And that's what I have done with my entire experience section, that I have provided as much information as I could for all the different jobs I did, and I have provided all of that information in a very structured manner. And again, I have used AI to the fullest, so I hope that you also do that. Next thing is the education. Now, I personally believe that grades don't matter, and even especially in IT, education doesn't even matter that much. But if you have done boot camp, if you have done some coding education, if you have done some IT work, then many government jobs have that as a prerequisite. I don't know why, but they have their own reasons, and that's why it can be helpful. So whatever education you have, feel free to show it over here. I don't think this section matters that much, especially in IT, but once again, having a good education is never going to be bad for anyone else. Okay, and then it comes about license and certifications. These are the things that you basically brag about, that all the good things that you have learned and you did, post it over here. And then this is the section especially important for students and new graduates. Now, this was back in 2015. I worked on some cool projects when I was studying and I was trying to look for my first job. That's when I created my LinkedIn profile with all of these information, and I made sure to put each one of my important projects over here on LinkedIn. So in the interview, I can at least talk about my projects, because I did not had much work experience back then. So this was a way for me to showcase my skills and reach out to other people. And that's what you can do. If you are a student, you are a fresh graduate, you are someone who is struggling to find that interview or that job, make sure to work on interesting projects. If you can't do it through education, do it on yourself. Create like a self-paced project and then work on it and showcase it over here on LinkedIn. So I have provided bunch of different projects that I previously worked on, and they have become quite handy for me. Now, once again, after the project section, most other things are not as important as previously shown on my LinkedIn profile. But overall, I would say important things are your experience, your about section, your headline, and another thing like things you're open to and projects that you have done. So make sure to curate it to the best way possible. So this was the full explanation of my LinkedIn profile. Step 2 is to master the art of leveraging referrals. Now, I personally benefited greatly by referrals, and I actually received 3 jobs in my career so far based on referrals. So that's why I'm going to share you my entire tips and tricks. Referrals increases your odds of getting the interview by 10 times. Why? Because companies trust their employees. And if some of their employees are saying that, hey, I know this person who might be a good fit, they are definitely going to entertain that possibility and at least call that person for the interview. Now it's up to you that whether you can crack that interview or not. So how do you get those referrals? Number one thing I typically used to do is, whenever I'm going through LinkedIn and I see that there is any particular XYZ job that I really like, I will go and check out on my LinkedIn profile that do I know some people who are currently working at that company. They might be part of my social network, someone who used to study with me or work with me in the past. If I know such people like that, I'm going to send them a very quick, simple message saying that, hey, XYZ, I saw an opening at this company. This is the opening. I have the relevant skills with this many years of experience. And can you give me a referral? Now, if I see 5 people in my contact list who are all working at that company, I'm going to send a message to all 5 of them. I'm not going to wait for just one person, and I'm also not going to send a simple short message saying that hi and then wait for them to respond back. In a one simple concise message, I'm going to convey my entire conversation, and then if they engage, I'm going to ask for referrals and then ask for more details, that whether they need my email address, my resume or whatnot, or how they wants to provide me the referrals. So that is going to be part one. Now, part two is, what if in your network you don't know anyone working at that company? You go out to the LinkedIn page of that company and the person who posted the job, and then wait if some people actually do connect. Once again, in this case, you want to send out a clear concise message, but just change few wordings a bit. Now in this time, because you don't know the person, you also have to showcase that you have the relevant skills necessary or needed for that particular job. So you need to change your message saying that, hey, I saw this opening in this company, I have this experience for these many years or these many projects, and I have the relevant skills, and it would be really great if you can provide me the referral. Or what do you think, will I be a good fit for this role? I would love to go ahead and ask you for a referral. Now, why would anyone give you referral? And that's where a small trick that comes into the play, and that is what companies incentivizes. Most of the companies have actually programs saying for their employees that if you find good candidates who clear the interview and we hire them, then you get bonus of 5,000, 10,000, $15,000. And that's a huge sum of money. Now, are companies mad that they are just throwing that money out when there are so many people actually looking for a job? No. Think it from a company's perspective that hiring a candidate is a very expensive matter. Why? Because if they wants to hire one person, they are probably going to post the ad, shortlist hundreds of people. Through that, they are going to shortlist like 10 people. For those 10 people, HR or recruiter is going to reach out, for which all the senior folks are going to spend their time interviewing them, and then come to a conclusion and find that one candidate who might be good or might not even be good. Imagine that how many man hours, how many uh, senior folks working hours are specifically being dedicated just for interviewing people. Now these are the people who contributes the most to the company, who gets compensated very heavily, and they are not doing the productive work of contributing in terms of code base or working on the products. They are just interviewing people, so that leads nowhere. And that's why companies don't want to waste so much time on lost productivity, and that's why they have these incentives for their employees saying that, hey, if you know someone who will be good for the job, bring them in. We will interview them quickly, and if they're good, we'll just hire them. We will go away from all of this entire hassle to figure out who is going to be the right candidate to join the right team. And that's why you need to ask for more referrals, because it's a win-win for everyone. It's a win for you, it's a win for person referring you, it's a win for recruiter, and it's a win for company. all you need to learn is how you are going to ask for referrals. Now, there is one third important detail that many people overlook, and that is to ask for referrals to completely anonymous people on websites like Blind and Fishbowl. Now, if you open Blind and Fishbowl, you will see hundreds of posts where people are just saying that, hey, I'm looking for referral, and can someone provide me the referral for this company or that company, or I got laid off and I need a referral. And believe me, many people would actually reach out and provide genuine feedback and genuine referrals to their own companies. I personally benefited this. When I got laid off from Microsoft, I posted on Blind, and a lot of people reached out to me saying that, hey, I can refer you at this company and I can refer you at this company, and I got many interviews that way. So it's always going to be beneficial to reach out to people in your contact list, people not in your contact list, and just anonymous people out of the blue on websites like Blind and Reddit and Fishbowl and other places, because you never know when you get that next referral, and the odds of you getting interviews would be 10, 15, 20 times higher. So this is the step 2. You can actually find a targeted direct outreach strategy instead of just coldly relying on applying online. Now, what do I mean by targeted direct outreach? This is an extension of step 2, but in this case, you are specifically targeting people who are in the position of prominence based on their LinkedIn profile. So you are reaching out to recruiters, you are reaching out to engineering managers, you are reaching out to hiring managers, you are reaching out to people who have recently posted some sort of job ad on LinkedIn. And I personally benefited from this greatly. Like, I frequently reach out to people who are posting about on LinkedIn saying that, hey, there is this position open in my company. Like, either if I'm personally applying, I would just directly message them that, hey, I have the skills and I think I would be the right candidate. Can we book an interview, or can we have a conversation on the phone, or what is the next steps? And usually they will reach out because they are definitely looking to hire people, and this is a very quick way to get in touch with the person who is directly hiring, because engineering managers and hiring managers have way more say in deciding that who gets to sit on interview than a recruiter. Like, recruiter plays a crucial role, and I'm not saying that it does not matter, but if hiring manager directly comes to a recruiter saying that, hey, I think this person might be a good fit, they are getting an interview for sure. And if you have some artifacts ready that shows that you have those skills, always attach them with the message you are sending. So it can be something like your GitHub link, or a project that you did, or a website you built. If you have something publicly available, just show them that, and that is going to increase the odds of your conversation engagement. So you need to also be working towards that. You also wants to build a sophisticated online presence. Now, what do I mean by sophisticated online presence? You should be connecting to way more people. So try to have at least few hundred to at least few thousand people on your contact list. Whenever you see someone like with the same background or similar interest, send them an invite and keep doing that daily, because over the course of 6 months to a year, your LinkedIn is going to have way more applications and way more connections, and that is going to come in handy in all sorts of different scenarios, like asking for referrals or finding like direct targeted outreach. On top of it, whenever you do something interesting or learn something new, always make sure to post about it on LinkedIn, saying something like, hey, I learned this new technique, I learned this new tool, I learned this new pipeline, whatever it could be. Just post it, explain what it is and what did you learn. If you have some tangible outputs, always post them as well, because many times your LinkedIn posts will start getting traction and people will start noticing you. So you will start building your persona that way. It's a good way to create an online presence. On top of it, you would stay active within the community. Try to make connections that way. Many people would reach out to you saying that, hey, there is this conference happening in your city, are you interested in coming in? There is a meetup happening, there is going to be this uh, event where so many people from the same background are going to be joining in, are you interested? go and attend those meetings. Also share the details about those on your LinkedIn profile as well, because these are the kind of things that actually helps you get more traction and makes you like a much more active person. Like if I'm going through a LinkedIn profile and if I see these things very frequently, definitely I'm going to think that, hey, you are a person of interest, why don't I at least engage in the conversation, because you are someone who has good understanding of what is currently happening in the industry, and what based on the contributions that you have made. Also, if possible, try to make contributions based on like open source GitHub projects and your own personal GitHub projects that you have publicly available, and share those links all the time, because that is a great way to showcase your coding skills, your technical prowess, and it can show that you are always willing to learn something new, because a simple LinkedIn post about your latest project can attract way more recruiter. So you always wants to be mindful of that. And that brings us to a final step 5, that is going to be the extension of step 4. But in this case, instead of only relying on LinkedIn, now you try to leverage other communities as well. Things like Twitter, things like Facebook groups, things like Instagram groups, things like if you have some important Slack or Discord servers, some important Reddit subgroups, all of these things come in handy. So at least have your presence all across the places. I'm not saying you to go and keep on spending 3 hours a day on checking all of these things out, but at least stay connected with those groups and those subreddits, because many times some important posts gets pushed around, and at least it will help you stay up to date on what is currently happening in the industry. And if someone is hiring, if someone is reviewing resumes, someone is trying to create mock interviews and things like that, you want to be part of those communities. Once again, all of those links are pasted in the description, so you can go and check them out. Now, if you follow 10 engineers at your dream company and engage with their posts, there is a very high likelihood that some of them will start noticing you, and then you can have a working cadence with them, and then that could lead to a potential next job interview. So you need to be mindful of these things. So it's not just one day overnight you are going to change all of these things, but along the period of all of these small nooks and cracks and important improvements in your LinkedIn profile, your online presence is going to make your profile more attractive. You will show up more in the search results. That's how recruiters would be directly reaching out to you whenever they see a new post or a new candidate that they are trying to hire. Because remember, earlier we talked about the priority list for recruiters. Number one priority are the people who come in through referrals. Number two priority are the people who recruiters directly go and find out and reach out, because they know for a fact that that person contains the necessary skills. And then lastly, it's just cold applications. So if you are struggling to find the right job and not getting much interviews, do all of these 5 steps. I greatly benefited from these 5 steps, and I wish I had knew them sooner in my career. Like I personally struggled a lot. I have sent out thousands of applications and not heard anything back. I tried to do these small things here and there, and it took me over 10 years to gain this experience and learn all of these things. So that's why I am sharing this knowledge with you, with the hope that you would not make the mistakes I made, but you would leverage the results that I got to experience at way more earlier stage than waiting for 10 years to learn all of these things. Let me know in the comments, what do you think about my whole explanation on why you are not getting the interviews, how you can improve your online presence and get more interviews, and how you can have interviewees and recruiters chasing you instead of you directly applying.